Hi, I'm Si from Cotic, and we're going to do a bit more of a detailed walk round of the Jeht, our new 140mm 29er trail bike. The Jeht project grew out of a couple of requirements in the range really. The first one was a few years ago we did a special edition of the Flare Max, our short travel bike, but with a longer stroke shock. It gave it 132mm of travel. And it really struck a chord with a lot of our customers. They were really keen on the idea of this bike with an all-round sensibility, but with a little bit more capability. The other thing that happened in the meantime was that the Gen 3 Rocket Max was in development, and that's been bumped up in travel and capability. So the Flare Max and the Rocket Max kind of moved apart from each other, and the Rocket Max became, even an even more serious device for going really fast. So we knew that there was this kind of place in the range for a bike which had more capability than the Flare Max, but was more of an all-rounder and a bit more of a easy to move around bike than the Rocket Max, and that's sort of where the Jeht development came from really. So it's 140mm travel, dedicated 140mm travel, uses the new metric size shock, so you've got future proofing there, but we decided to bump up the front travel a little bit, so it's got a 150 fork, because oddly enough that actually balances out how the bike feels. The geometry and the feel of the bike is much more closely related to the Flare Max than the Rocket Max. It's got that really kind of lively, easy to weight sort of all-round feel, but because of the long shot geometry, when you do get really going, it still really feels confident and on your side, but the extra travel just means that the kind of terrain that you can carry speed through and the kind of things that you can get away with are just that little bit more. So it's a really nice bike for that, sort of one bike garage really. You can ride it around the woods and you won't necessarily feel too overbiked because it's still got that kind of lively pedalling feel, and the technical climbing is really good with the steep seat angle and the way it kind of holds its weight on climbs. And yet because it's got the 140, 150 setup, when you do go away into somewhere a bit more serious or a bit more steep, then you can sort of go and bomb those trails with a little bit more confidence that the bike's not going to run out of ideas when you really get going. So that's the broad strokes of what the Jeht is all about and where it came from. But I just want to talk to you about a few of the little details, because we've introduced a couple of new little innovations on this bike which are going to help its usability. The first of which is we've got a new longer link rear end, which is a little bit different kinematic. Still feels quite supported and related to the rest of the Cotic bikes, because we definitely have a way that we want the drop link bikes to feel, and and this definitely carries through on that. But the key thing with that we meant we could lengthen the top of the top section of the seat tube and drop the seat tube pivot, so just down here. So you've got way more seat post insertion, another 15 or 20 mil compared to some of the other 29er drop link bikes for a given size. So certainly for shorter riders, they're going to be able to get at least a 150mm drop post, maybe even a 170 or 180mm drop post, even on those smaller sizes. So, that's a real bonus. Some of the other things that are going on with it, this is the first model that we're introducing a limited edition UK made first run. So the afterburner paint that you see here, the gorgeous fade paint graphics, and the beautiful matte teal is all made in the UK by Fiveland Bikes, and we're going to make no more than 30 of those in these colourways. And then come next year there's going to be a Taiwan production frame which will be some new colours, a little bit lower price, and then that will become the production frame. So we wanted to get the bike out as soon as we could, and we know some people are really keen on the UK made option that we have on some of the other bikes in the range, so we wanted to give people who want that element of manufacturing locally to get involved with the Jeht, and then for steady state production we'll have some new colours and some exciting sort of different graphics for the Taiwan due in about 3 or 4 months. Okay, so just to talk about the numbers on this a little bit. So this bike with a 150 fork is running a 64.5 degree head angle. Just like all the long shot bikes, it's designed around running a 35mm stem, and this XL's running 515mm of reach. The effective seat angle on this with your saddle up, so the actual seat angle you experience, is between 75.8 and 75.5 degrees depending on how high you run your saddle. It's a relatively steep top section, so you don't get that weird throwback where you get a claimed steep seat angle and then the saddle ends up all the way over here when you're actually pedaling it. It does actually sit you really poised over the pedals. I've climbed back up our test run for the suspension much more easily on this than I can on my Rocket Max. So it's got a really nice sort of lively climbing feel. Speaking of which, excuse all of the tape. This is mainly because I've been running my data logging software on this just to finally sign off all the shock tunes and all of that kind of stuff. So just like all Cotic bikes, you will get, despite all of the dials and adjustability you get on the Cane-Crete shocks, you will get a Cotic shock tune already dialed into the shock. So it'll be our suggested setting to start from and give it a go. So all you have to do is set the sag using the O-ring and getting your weight on it. If you check the manual that you get with it, it's all explained in there, and we're always on the end of the phone or email to help you out with your setup. But set that up and your shock, and you will be good to go. Other things, just like all Cotic drop link bikes, we've got our integrated chain guide right here. So that comes with your frame, so that's bolted to the swing arm and just keeps everything running nice. Got a new rubber chainstay protector which keeps things, all nice and nice and looked after, and is really quiet. So bottle bosses are here under the top tube, so you sling your water bottle under here. And it's actually, even though it's a bit of an unconventional position, it's actually really easy to get your bottle from there. It's you're not interfering with the shock or getting skinning your knuckles on things like trying to get down into the belly of the frame. The only exception to that is the small, because we prefer to drop the top tube right down on the smalls. We can't actually quite squeeze the bottle in, so the small does get it under the down tube, but all the other sizes you can get a bottle inside the main frame. One thing you can do is, while you're carrying your bottle up here, is that we have our custom Cotic frame bags which actually fit down here in the bottom of the triangle. So we've got a couple of options there. We've got another frame bag option, so if you don't run a bottle, you can run a frame bag up here for a bit of extra luggage. So we do have an option where you can run without a pack. If you run one of our little belly bags down here, you can stuff a tube in it, a little CO2 inflator, maybe a tool, your keys, your phone. All just goes in there, bottle up there, and you're good to go. So that'll keep you on the trails without needing to faff around with a pack or anything like that. So as I mentioned at the start of the video, this beautiful afterburner paint finish in the matte teal are limited edition, no more than 30 UK made launch edition frames. They're going to be available from the start of November, and then the Taiwan frames are going to be available in around January, February 2021. They're going to be a different colour. Go to the website and check out the options there. We've got mercury colour option with an amazing graphic treatment, and we've got matte blue steel for our other colour option on that, which sort of suits the Cotic and suits the brand real nice. We ship direct to the world from our warehouse in the Peak District right here. You can order whichever you like now, 4 great colours, but ultimately it's all the same great 140mm trail bike, the Jeht.